history and part of the club.
Yeah, totally, man. And you're right. And obviously,
consider the inconsistency in team selection still.
Can I just say, not only that, my name's Jake, not Jane, has got a school. Actually, Jane.
You could pass for a Jane.
Actually, I haven't.
You could pass for a Jane.
I'm off.
Remember, we're all doing that in front of him. We're all buying.
Good evening and welcome back to the West Ham Network for our match day player ratings. It's not young Jakey boy today. It's myself, Anton, and of course the regular Matt. Matt, how you doing, mate? You okay? You buzzing after last night's game?
You know what? I was for about 20 minutes. I kind of wish we'd played the day before so I could enjoy it more. It's just, I enjoyed it, and then I saw the draw, and I was like, you know what, we'll never get an easy draw.
Matt. Oh, my word. Honestly, I don't know how many times I've got listened to this negativity between him and Stell. It's the most boring negativity I've ever had. Matt, what happened to the young lad, the young West Ham fan that you used to run around buzzing about West Ham results? Are you not buzzing, mate? The bigger they come, the harder they fall.
That's what we got to hope. You know what? As well, if we genuinely beat Man United and then Man City, we deserve to win it.
Yeah.
Like, give us the trophy after that. Like, don't give it to someone else. Like, we won it. We beat both the Manchester clubs.
Yeah.
Knocked them both out.
A big deal though. A big good result. Good to bounce back like we did, of course, and beat Manchester United. Especially after the kind of disappointing result against them in the Premier League. But we did it, mate. We did it. And look where we are. So let's just get straight into it. I mean, listen, we're going to try our best. There's a lot of shows coming up with actually a live show straight after this show with Russ, DJ Russie B as well. So let's just get straight into it, Matt. So it's time to rate the debutant goalkeeper, Alphonse Areola. Right, Matt, he made his debut. What do you think?
I was very impressed. I gave him an 8. I thought he had that bit of a flap at the start with the corner, but I think that was
that the one where the ball came out. He could have grabbed it with his 2 hands, but decided to just punch it, Mike Tyson.
He
he took the boy's head.
Punch by in the head, didn't he? And then I still think he got a touch on that from Matt. I think he tipped it onto the crossbar. I think he made a brilliant recovery save. And then there was one, that he done for the cameras. But he made a couple of big saves, like that one in the second half from Greenwood when we went through one-on-one. I think he done as good as he could have expected. Yes, some of his kicking was a bit off. But I think
Sorry.
you could see that he'd been told...
Say, come on, your irons. Night. Sorry.
You could see he'd been told to kick for the wings. Like, if you look at his goal, he didn't take a single goal kick that went down the middle of the pitch. We clearly said we're not going to win headers against the centre-backs. So let's try and pick the wings out. So it made his kicking a bit harder because he's got to really find the range to just drop it inside the touchline, which he sort of done in the end. But I like the fact that he was coming for crosses. He was punching crosses. He was taking them in. He looked very calm and collected, made some good saves. I thought he had a solid debut. I don't know if he's done enough to... You know what's weird? I was going to say, I don't know if he's done enough to outroot Fabianski from the first team yet. But in fairness, I think that's probably due to the defenders in front of him, because I thought they had a very solid game. So he didn't get tested that much. But he did everything he had to do.
Yep. Exactly. Let's go see who's in the chat first and foremost. And if you are watching right now, give us your Areola. I know we've got the poll going on live on YouTube. We will have a look at the results of that. But let me see your number so I can bring the comment up on the screen as well. Neil T saying evening, hope you're well. Clive is saying evening, everyone. I'll be joining you in a little while I'm expecting a very important video call at 8ish. Hope that is okay, mate. Pete, before the show starts, does anyone fancy my carer ticket for the Europa match on the 30th, mate? Has been royally shafted for a base duty, so can't make it. So anyone, Pete, that you trust, have a look at that. Father Snowman, good to see you. Alfie, good to see you too. Father Snowman saying, Matt, you should be buzzing. Yes, you should be. Zach Parker, what the bloody hell was that music? It's the best music, mate. And I've got the unicorn up there to back it up as well. Pete Chapman says Fabianski gets a 7. Chris Hammer says even lads. Fabianski meant to say Areola. Areola gets a 7. Evening, lads. Great win last night from Chris Hammer. Thank you very much. For Sheezy, Jesus Christ, young Jakey's been on a testosterone hormone intensive drug trial in Colombia. Cheers, Paul. Pete, good all talking to each other. And Neil is saying 9. Great debut, but Fab still starts versus Leeds. Don't know what you're saying there, mate. 4, haha. Robert Singleton saying 7. Foshizi saying Areola, amazing, looked great once he got into the swing of the game. Looked more dominant in the box than Fab. Oh, look who it is! Look who it is! Where are you, Jakey boy? What are you doing? I'm only messing, mate. Go and check out West Ham Unofficial, of course. Freddie, my favourite baker. Listen, I know it is, mate. I know it is. Don't you worry about that, mate. Don't you worry about that. Enjoy Anton tonight. Yes, we know. We know. Matt, let's move on to the next player. And disappointing because, you know, he did do well, but he came off with not a great injury at the end of it. It's time to rate Ryan Fredericks. One in, mate.
I think I'll give him a solid 7. He was only on the pitch for, like, realistically about 10 minutes. And then he tried to continue for a couple more and just obviously couldn't run it off and came off. But he had a very promising, like, first 10 minutes. Like, and we know the qualities that he's got, and he's especially good going forward because of the pace he has.
Yeah.
You know, and that the assist for the goal, he wriggled between sort of Matic. I need to put the burners on Tellez. Tellez literally gave him like half of the yard, and he was just gone. Pulled the ball back for the assist, but unfortunately, that is his one downfall, is that he has got a bit of the Antonio in him with his dodgy hamstrings, and you know, making that sprint for the assist, the hamstring went, but it was another bright start, and it was another bright-ish. Well, it was a bright performance when he was on the pitch again. So, showing that he can be good there. It's just unfortunate. Maybe he needs to go on the Antonio diet, and that'll sort his hamstrings out.
Yeah, it's a shame though. It's tough because, like you said, Matt, I mean, he was really influential going forward, and I think it was giving West Ham another option. David Moyes another option, of course. You know, playing him on the right hand side, but I think he deserves a good score because, of course, he made the goal that won us the game, and then, you know, for his ability, you know, him wanting to keep playing on no matter what. But you could see how gutted it was. He was gutted, mate, that he came off the park in the end and couldn't stay on, and the players were gutted for him as well. So I think it's going to be a hamstring injury. I don't know how long he's going to be out for, but he'll be gutted he's missing any game time.
He sort of put a thing on Twitter saying he didn't think it was that bad, so hopefully it's only a minor one. But
yeah, of course. Let's go take a look and see what everyone else is saying in the chat. Please, if you are watching, get your markers in right now for Ryan Fredericks. Robert Singleton is saying 8. Yesar is saying 7. Fredericks from Jill Jane is saying 7. Howard Ailes is saying 8. And Father Snowman, 2 from 2, Matt. 2 from 2. 2 what? 2 8s to be? No, an 8 and a 7. That's what we got. Thigh injury confirmed. Yes.
Yeah,
so don't know how long. Yeah, don't know how long that will be, but we'll have to wait and see. Long Dark Tunnel saying 7. James 75 is saying 7. Foshizi is saying flash pace, Frederick, solid 8. Great assist and speed. Really feel sorry for the lad. I absolutely agree with you, mate, as well. I really do. And in the chat, we've got 50-50. So we've got 50% of people say 7 and 50% of people say 8. So it's
I only didn't give him 8 because he was only on the pitch like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
But I thought he did deserve at least a decent rating because he did get the assist. He looked quite promising.
Yeah, of course. Let's go and move on to the next player, the big man Mountain, the man that's come back from nowhere to perform at the highest level. Hopefully, touchwood, long be it for a long time. It's Issa Diop.
This may be where I start getting controversial and get the backlash because I don't know what people think. I thought he was our best player. Like, I thought he was the best player on the pitch for us last night. I'd give him a 9.
A 9?
I thought that
Matt's going big. Matt's going big or going home.
You know what? I genuinely thought that was his best performance in a West Ham shirt for a very long time. I'm talking like a couple of years.
Yeah.
And maybe Zuma has brought the best out of him because he had a good performance in the game, in the Europa League game a couple of weeks back. And I actually said, I was like, oh, Zuma made him better. But there was no Zuma tonight. And he was immense, getting in blocks, cutting out crosses, dominating in the air. He looked calm on the ball. He didn't look as flustered or rushed as he usually does. Yeah, I thought he had an amazing game, to be honest.
Yeah.
Fully deserved a 9 rating.
I think you're right, mate. I think Zuma's really brought something, a kind of new breath of fresh air to Diop's career at West Ham. And I think we were always looking for that player that can mix and match with him. But it seems to be that now Diop's going to get consistency in game time, and that's going to help a player of Diop's confidence and of his age group as well. You know, he doesn't come recommended to the level he was and not be a good player. So I think Moyes always had a bit of faith in him, and that's exactly what he's done. He's stuck by that faith, and Diop, hopefully, fingers crossed, touch wood, is going to get some game time with some consistency this season, which will help him and help West Ham, of course. Let's have a look and see what everyone else in the chat is saying. Father Snowman is saying he gets an 8. Luke Legend is saying he gets a 7. Jill Jane agrees with you, giving him a 9. Anil is saying a 9, made great clearances. Robert Singleton is saying 9. Neil T is saying 9. Long Dark Tunnel is saying 8. Troj, Diop 9, same as Dawson. We'll come on to Dawson in a minute. Troj, come on to Dawson in a minute. James 75 9, best game for a long time. Really cool to hear that. We'll come on to him in a minute. Diop 9. Troj, Diop looked more assured and calmer. Absolutely. Foshizi dominated Diop 9. Love that name. A Titan, a centre back, didn't take any prisoners and looked elegant at the same time. Absolutely, mate. Absolutely. Rich Mushroom, man, I agree. 9. French speakers guiding him well. Crazy Call, these polls are a bit posh. They are, mate. They are. But yeah, I agree with you, mate. And like you said, he goes down as your man of the match. Do you agree with Matt? Do you think Diop was your man of the match? Get the comments in and let us know. So it is time to move on to his partner in crime, Mr. Craig Dawson.
It's kind of hard. So I've given him the same rating. I've probably given him a 9. I personally, it's weird because I'm sort of sitting on the fence here, and I don't do like point ratings. So I think I should give him I think I want to give him an 8. However, having said that, I think they both played equally well. I thought Diop played better, so maybe I should have given Diop higher. But 8, yeah, I thought he done well with the threat. I thought he really done well pocketing Martial, to be honest. He obviously relied on Diop to cover for the pace or mismatches, but you know that's nothing against Dawson. That's being a very experienced centre back. You know, he knew what his strengths were, he knew what Diop's were, and he made sure that they played off between them. He could get in close and get physical, and if someone tried to spin in behind him, he got tight and then used Diop to cover behind him if they got past him.
Yeah,
I was genuinely surprised. I suppose I wasn't because I thought they played well together in pre-season when Ogbonna was injured, but I didn't think they played that well together at Old Trafford. I know they put a second string out, but it was still worth like 350 million, that team. So it wasn't exactly, we weren't exactly playing a League One team. And I thought they played off each other very well, Diop and Dawson. Yep.
And I think fair play, though, David Moyes is one to have 4 strong centre halves, and I think he's got that now. I think he's got his wish, and he's got players that can play, in different combinations as well. Bringing in Zuma and bringing in Dawson has become a bit of a masterclass, to be honest, with yourself there, Matt. Dawson's going to give us a solid performance game in and game out, and whether or not people think he's made a mistake here, there, and everywhere, who hasn't in a game of football? But it's very rare, and it's few and far between when he does. Anyway, let's go and see what everyone in the chat has said about Mr. Craig Dawson. Let's jump all the way back up and find him. West Ham unofficial. Jakey Boy saying Dawson gets an 11. I mean, he's just defying all the odds and creating up a new poll. So
but he loves
Jakey Boy does.
So
yeah,
Jake loves Dawson. So
exactly, mate. Father Snowman says he gets an 8. Robert Singleton says he gets a 9. Clive Trevlin, good to see you back. Thank you for joining us, mate. And Neil T agrees. Diop's man of the match. Troj says Dawson gets a 9. Howard Ailes said Dawson gets a 9. Long Dark Tunnel says Dawson gets a 7. Neil T says he gets an 8. Crazy Call says he gets an 8. Jill Dawson says he gets a 9. Matt Father Snowman, Matt going to give a 10 today. Well, he's already told you he's man of the match, so we'll see. We'll see unless something changes throughout. And Neil says 8, but didn't do anything wrong. James 75, strong 8. Pete Chapman 8. Clive Trevelyan says Dawson was a solid 8. Luke Legend, honestly, whilst the defence played well, Man United were awful in the final third. Troy's just saying a Nats here in between Diop and Dawson. Let's see here if there's anyone else. Fuzzy saying Disruptor Dawson 8, excellent commanding performance at centre back. Now let me tell you, the average people who voted in the poll on YouTube, 43% of people said he gets an 8, 31% of people said he gets a 9, 23% of people said he gets a 7. So 8 is the over the big number, the resounding.
I'm not doing bad so far.
Yeah. Fresh Fielder, good shout. Can these votes be collated at the end of the year to see who gets the highest average rating? What a good shout, Fresh Fielder. So, Matt, that's going to be your task, mate. I'm going to get you to go back through all the videos and get it all sorted. And Neil, good to see you, mate. Thanks for joining us. So, listen, it's time to move on from Craig Dawson and rate the last defender, questionably if you want to call him that. Ben Johnson, what do you think Ben Johnson deserves out of 10? Get it in the comments just now. And then Matty Boy.
Now what? I've sitting on the fence this well, but I'm going to stick to my guns. I'm going to give him an 8. Like, I think that's 3 times or 4 times in the last 18 months that he's played left back against Man United and played really well.
Yeah.
Like, again, for a guy that he isn't a left back, let's not forget he's a right back.
Yeah.
And even in the game today, like every time you see him play out of that position on that left-hand side, he develops his game a bit more.
Yeah.
And last night, his passing levels come up. And before, you know, whenever he had to clear a ball or play a ball down the line on the left hand side, he'd play it with his left foot straight out of play. With his right foot, he'd just be swinging it in the pitch. Whereas now, he seems to have pinpointed his passing down, and he was playing like just brilliant little chip balls straight down the line to the feet of either like Masuaku or Fornals in front of him.
Yeah,
he had like no problem doing it. He tired in the last 10 minutes. Greenwood started getting at him, but he covered a lot of ground in the game. And we did a lot of defensive work, you know, running the channels, running around, picking up markers. It's harder and more tiring to defend for 90 minutes than it is to attack for 90 minutes. You know, when you're attacking, you're normally controlling the play. You get passes of just passing, moving. The defending is a lot harder, but I thought he had a brilliant game again.
Can I be honest with you, Matt? Listen, I agree with everything you've said there, but I give him a 9, mate. I give him a 9 because you've got talking about a right-footed player, a right-sided player who can play in left-back position. Mate, he did not put a single foot wrong, equally to the level of what Diop did and Dawson, and he performed at the highest level. What I loved about him more than anything was he was getting up and down that left-hand side, he was getting back, and he was then slipping in when one of the centre-backs moved out of position. So it gave me the confidence that maybe David Moyes could rely on Ben Johnson moving forward if he was to play a back 5 and give him a shot in that role. He's pacey, he's clever, and he's got the ability to tackle and get back and track back. For me personally, for a player that plays on the right-hand side to play left back and give that performance. And mate, in the last 10 minutes, anyone could have got a goal. I mean, particularly West Ham, I think we could have got 4 goals in the last couple of minutes, let alone the last 10. So, yeah, I think, I mean, I'll go with an 8 because it's your show, Matt. So that's what we do here. That's what we do. Jill Jane is saying he gets an 8. Troy's is saying less smug face, Matt. Howard Ailes is saying an 8. Long Dark Tunnel saying a 9. Agree with you, my man. Agree with you. Neil T saying 7. Double Think saying 7. Long Dark Tunnel 9. Pete Chapman 8. Father Snowman Johnson 8. Reason tired last 10 minutes, which is what he agrees with you, Matt. Crazy Call 8. And Ailes saying 9. Best game in a West Ham shirt. Troj is saying a 7. Clive Trevelyan saying Johnson so 7, close to an 8. James 75 8. Troj Greenwood went by him with ease, was dangerous. I don't really remember that, to be honest. Look,
the only time I'd say that is when he first came on, but I don't think that was really Johnson's fault. I think that was running in between runners. It was a clever run. Yeah,
absolutely. Long Dark Tunnel saying 9 all day long. Pete Chapman is saying an 8. Neil T, I don't think he did give the ball away cheaply, but that's the nature of what we do these shows. Everyone's entitled to their
There
own
was a
opinion.
couple of times, but I mean,
Yeah, but was there though?
This is nitpicking. Exactly what I'm saying. Like, there's a couple of times where he's had the ball played to his back on like the touchline, and he's just like on the turn, put a swinger of a left foot on it, and put it like 30 yards down the line, giving it back to him. But like in that position, what's he going to do? Pass it back into trouble, turn into trouble, or knock it out for a throw-in, or put it 40 yards down the pitch. So. Yeah, there was a couple of times he gave the ball away, but he was doing his defensive duty first. And you know what? 40 yards down the pitch, you can reshape, and they've got to come back at you again. So,
Full Sheezy saying, job well done, Johnson. 8, great, good performance, few mistakes, and being a right-footed left back, even more impressive. Bang on, full. Peter Jones is saying 8 as well. So there you go. Let's see what the chat poll said. Let's have a look where it is. Rate Ben Johnson 8. 42% of people said he gets an 8. 33% of people said he gets a 7. 15% of people say he gets a 9, and 9% of people say he gets a 6. So overrounding result is an 8 from the chat. So there you go, mate. Most people agree with you again. It's not very often, but again, I'm only joking. On the wind up, mate. Next, it's time to rate that man, King Arthur Masuaku. There you go, mate.
I'll give him a solid 7. And that's more because we didn't see a lot of the reason he was on the pitch. You know, he was on the pitch to do a lot of the attacking. And we saw a lot of that in the first 10 minutes. And he spent a lot of the rest of the time defending. His crosses need work, but you know what? The key thing for Masuaku yesterday was the minutes.
You know, 7.
7. It was essentially his first game back, wasn't it? I mean, he's played some under 23s, but this was essentially his first proper first-team game back, so it was important for him to get the match fitness. I thought we had a solid 70 minutes. We didn't get to see as much going forward as you'd have wanted for the position he was in, but that's because he was tracking back a lot. And yes, as Stel pointed out, literally bang on cue, you know, right at the second half, he got a ball and he just won the tackle and then passed it inside straight to the Man United player, and Stel was like, that's why I don't like him. But everyone made a couple of bad passes, and as a whole, overall, playing the left wing back / left midfielder role, that is really his position. He played quite well. I thought it was a decent outing for him.
I'm going to disagree with you on this one, Matt. I didn't realise how many times I will disagree with you. Normally, I always agree and change my rating, but I'm disagreeing with you on this rating, and I'm going to drop him a point, actually. And I'm quite a positive West Ham fan, but I didn't, I've credit where credit's due. I think he gave an okay performance for someone that's come back from a bad injury and a long-term injury. So, like I said, credit where credit's due. But I think we need to see a little bit more of him, and I think he needs a bit more game time in order to do that. He was probably our least best player on the park.
Let me put
alongside
alongside
someone else. Yeah.
Right. For 70 minutes, they attacked in front of Soufal. Yeah. Masuaku came off and Fornals came on. Greenwood came on. Everything went down the other side. After Arthur came off. When they lost the pace of Masuaku, everything went down that side.
Well, let's take a look and see what everyone else says in the chat. Sharky is saying a 7. Crazy Call saying a 7. Father Snowman saying Arthur 7. Still bad crossing. Didn't chase back. Trosh saying 7. Jill Jane is saying 7. Long Dark Tunnel. Good job, Masuaku and Johnson. Howard Ale 6. Long Dark Tunnel 7. Masuaku, Neil T is saying 6. Trosh is saying he needs match conditioning. Robert Singleton saying a 6. Howard Ale saying he gave the ball away too much often. And he was saying 7 didn't make his usual one big mistake. Foshizi is saying magnificent King Arthur, Masuaku 9, just to see Stella Masuaku's facial reactions. James 75, 6 been out for far too long. Good to come and get some minutes. Absolutely, mate. Absolutely. Clive Trevelling 9. Masuaku was much better on and off the ball. His crossing was improving throughout the game, and he linked well with Lanzini. Clive, that's very generous, but listen, it's your opinion, mate. It's your opinion. That's what we have to do. So Masuaku, mate. Masuaku gets a 7. Let's go and take a look and see what the chat actually said with regards to Masuaku. 41% of people said a 7. 29% of people said a 6. 23% of people said an 8. But the number that came out on top there was number 7. So there you go, Matt. People agreeing with you again. Time to rate that man. Another debutant of yesterday's game, Alex Kroll. You go, mate.
Straight off the bat, I'll give him an 8.
8.
I was genuinely really impressed with him.
Yeah.
And it's like we don't watch Russian football, and I don't watch Czech Republic football, so I haven't seen a lot of him. Didn't have a good Euros, but then again, like the entire French team didn't. They won the World Cup like 2 years ago. So, but I didn't realise how technically good he was on the ball. I thought we were just getting like a Souček Mark II, whereas he still was tenacious. He still was winning tackles. He was still getting up and down the pitch constantly, even like right up until like the 80 odd minutes when they put everyone in front of the box. He was still getting up and down, making some very clever passes. His passing ability, flip tricks and flicks, something Souček doesn't do. Souček's very much like old school, bog standard passes. Kroll look more inventive.
Yeah.
You know what? Agent Souček strikes again. Might have only played one game, but for 12 mil, I'd pay it now. There you go, have the money.
Yeah,
that's one game, and he only got time to improve. So if that's the first outing.
Yeah, and I think he did do a good job. I think there was a couple of shaky moments very early on, but that's expected, especially from a new player, especially playing in the position that he plays in when it's such a, we've become accustomed to a high standard in that role, but stepping into that position alongside his counterpart Mark Noble, and he stepped up to the plate, mate. I completely agree with you. Ball control, distribution, tackling, getting stuck in. He was there and he was thereabouts, and he'd done a job and an 8, and he caused them huge amount of concern at the back. Let's go and take a look and see what the chat says. Double Think saying Kroll solid 7s. Robert Singleton saying good debut 7. Jill Jane says Kroll 8. Rich Mushroom Man 8 for Kroll. Peter Jones saying 6. Oh, it's quite low. Father Snowman Kroll 8. Good first appearance. Neil saying 8, impressive. Long Dark Tunnel 7. Troj 6. Neil T 7. Howard Ailes is saying 8. Solid debut, looked right up for it. Troj Kroll not up to Prem speed yet. He's not, but he will. And we've got to give these players a bit of time. Sharky says 8 from me. Rich Mushroom Man 8 for Kroll from me. On Twitter during the game, opinion was really divided. Father Snowman says Kroll 8 needs a haircut. Crive Strebling, Kroll a strong 7. He did enough to get 8, but he seemed better when Sufal came on. James 75, solid debut 7 from me. Double Think, leader's performance 8. Peter Jones 8. I don't know if that's talking about someone else. We'll come on to that in a minute. Cool hair, cool dude. Kroll 8. Didn't stop running. Didn't take no for an answer whilst making tackles. Acclimatizing really well. Check, mate. Absolutely. Absolutely. Long Dark Tunnel. Kroll needs some time to adjust, but we'll see. We'll see what happens, mate. We'll see. Anyway, it's time to move on and talk about his counterpart in the midfield. He was wrestling yesterday, but in my opinion, he gave a fantastic performance as well. Captain Mark Noble. Oh, mate.
I'm gonna give Noble a 7, and it might be harsh. The funny thing is, if he'd scored that, I probably would have given him an 8. But he had a weird game because there was large parts in the first half where he controlled the game, but then every time he went in for a tackle, it was like someone. He came out like even from the first minute like a man possessed. I think he said during the watch along, like he made about 6 fouls, like the first half, and any of them you could have given a booking for, and it wouldn't have. You probably couldn't have argued against it. But it was weird because, like, once he got booked at the start of the second half, that actually seemed to calm him down a bit. I was sitting there, we were sitting there, and I was saying, get him off. I was like, I'll get Fornals on, put Fornals in the middle because he's going to get sent off at any minute. But it was almost like taking the booking meant he couldn't go in for them like really rash committed tackles, and it calmed him down a bit. Yeah. And then he sort of saw out the rest of the game. And he was unlucky in the last minute. of all the players, you know what? Genuinely, of all the players, be busting a gut in the 90th minute to make the last man run beyond Bowen. For the life of me, I don't know how it ended up being Noble. Like, well, if you watch back, there's actually Yarmolenko's there, and he looks absolutely gone. Like, he's gassed beyond belief. And then, like, obviously we saw it live, but I was just watching the clip back on Twitter, and it's like, if you take your glasses off that you don't know who it is, you wouldn't believe that was like 34-year-old Mark Noble, like, streaming past him.
You're right, mate. He was a complete and utter man possessed in this game yesterday. And there was an element that I started to think that maybe he knew that VAR wasn't available and he was going to be a little bit rough and tumble. But to be honest, it was more of a reactionary, wasn't it? It was more reaction to the game at the weekend. And he was gutted, mate. You can always tell that Mark Noble and any West Ham fan would be exactly the same. And he had a point to prove, and he was going to be a little bit dirty, and he was probably willing to get a yellow card. And if that yellow card had came a little bit earlier, you know, maybe there was a reason. You know, none of the tackles or anything that Mark Noble did were endangering players' careers. They were all.
There was never like dangerous tackles.
They were all just your generic professional fouls. But earlier on, we thought, well, he's going to pick up a yellow card sooner rather than later. But that didn't come until a lot later. But for me, mate, he was a man possessed, and he had a point to prove. And I think he proved the point. And I think considering we turned up, he captained the side. Him and Kroll kept things nice and tidy through the middle. I think he probably deserves to get an 8 as well. I think a lot of people maybe mark him down because of the fact that maybe we were concerned he was going to get sent off at some point.
Yeah, that's why I was sitting here on the fence, like.
Yeah, I'll give him an 8, but it's your show, mate. We'll go with what you say. Let's see what everyone says in the chat. Before we move on, though, I want to say 46% of people agreed with the number 8 for Alex Kroll. So 46% of people said that. So let's jump into the chat and see what everyone is saying about our man, our captain, Mark Noble. Robert Singleton saying Noble 8 still got the legs. Sharky saying Noble 7. Peter Jones saying Kroll 8. Okay. Father Snowman, Noble 9. Headless Chicken led by example. Lucky not to be sent off. Neil T saying Noble 8. Jill James saying Noble 8. Long Dark Tunnel 7. Troj. Noble was superb. Best game in a long time 8, but he got really lucky. Crazy Colt gives him an 8. Double Think Nobes, natural leader 8. Long Dark Tunnel, lucky not to get sent off. Absolutely. Howard Ailes, Noble 7 just because of the cards. Troj is saying Noble 8, but still a liability. Peter Jones is saying Noble 8. Rich Mushroom Man, 9 for Noble for realising there was no VAR. Probably read at some point. If there was, there you go. James 75, 7. Robert Singleton thought Noble was trying to make up for Sunday. Clive Trevelyan, Noble wasn't up to his usual high standard. 6 for me because I feared a red card. Pete Chapman saying a 7. Double Think is saying we'll talk about him in a minute. Troj, Noble Master of the Dark Arts, absolutely. Foshizi, Notorious, Noble. Love this double barreled ends going on. 8 reminded me of an old school East End gangster roughhousing whilst being cheeky. Loved it. Perfect response to Sunday's disappointment. Vintage Mark Noble, mate. And let's go and see what everyone in the chat has given him as the final.
It seems like we're reckon to be an 8. I'm guessing.
Well, 40%. It's a draw. 40% of people said a 7, and 40% of people said an 8. 10% of people gave him a 9. 10% of people gave him a 9.
I could give him a 9.
Yeah,
I marked him down a bit for the yellow possibly getting.
Yeah. Long Dark Tunnel was fun to watch, Noble, and do you know what? I can kind of concur. It was actually entertaining to watch him because he was like a man possessed. But there you go, mate. There you go. So it's time to move on and look at the next man after Mark Noble, and that was, moving further up the field, Manuel Lanzini, the goal scorer. There you go, mate.
I'm going to give him a 7, and it's nothing against Lanzini. I just think he had it was a brilliant finish, and at times he was enjoying playing at the number 10 role. But a lot of the game passed him by no fault of his own. Because if you know one thing about Lanzini, he's not really a defensive player. We've seen him play in the defensive midfield role at the back end of last season when we were playing like Burnley, who were going to sit back and just put 10 men behind the ball. We had to break him down. So him playing deep benefited from him. But playing the number 10 yesterday, it benefited him when we were attacking. But we spent so much time, with that low, the mid to low block, as Carlton Cole called it, that he didn't see much of the ball. I was like, I'm only going to give him a 7. Maybe that's a bit harsh because nothing against him. It's just he didn't get to have the impact he'd have wanted because of the style of play we played. But I can see lots of 8s in the chat already. So,
I mean,
Is what it
listen,
is.
I think Lanzini is going to be utilised in many different, or two particular positions, a bit further forward or a bit further back. And he can offer 2 different things for West Ham. And Moyes is definitely willing to give him the benefit of the doubt this season. And I think, turning up and giving us a solid 7 performance, potentially even an 8 performance, I think it was. I think he, when I think about all the creative players on that side and what players were doing, if you rate him along other players, I think he probably deserves to be marked up on the performance alone in comparison to maybe a few of the others. But yeah, I mean, I'll accept a 7. I would like to have given him an 8, but I think a 7 would have been it's fair. It's definitely fair. Helen Ludlow would have loved that's something that's related to Mark Noble. Troj is saying Lanzini may be a generous 9. He was tenacious, same as Bowen, and we'll come on to him in a minute. Lanzini gets a confident 8 from Double Think. Mustafa, give us Lanzini, we'll give you Fred. No, thank you. Well, there you go, Matt. Would you swap Lanzini for Fred?
No, Fred's awful. I said that anyway. I said that on the preview for the league game when we had Natalie on. I was like, he's your worst player by a country mile. No, I'd rather have Lanzini.
Father Snowman saying Lanzini 8 solid and scored the winner. Howard Ailes is saying Lanzini 9. Lock Dark Tunnel saying 7.5. Robert Singleton saying Lanzini gets an 8. Manu gets an 8 from me. He took his role seriously and scored. This is from Clive. Jill Jane is saying Lanzini gets an 8. Sharky says Lanzini 8, scored a very tidy finish. Neil T, Lanzini 8. Peter Jones, Lanzini 8. James 75, tidy finish, played well, 7. Epic Castime 10. He gives him a 10. There you go. We've got the first 10 from the.
No,
let's see we go. Look, this is it. Look, there you go. Moisey's buzzing. He gets a 10.
Many of them.
You know what? Fair play to you, mate. Neil, Lanzini tidy finish and linked it well. Foshizi, Limeright Lanzini 8. Cometh the hour, cometh the man. The winning goal alone is worthy. Yeah, makes a valid point. He absolutely does. And Troj, Lanzini loves important goals. He certainly does and deserves to get marked up for that and that alone. But that's just Matt for you. Matt's harsh.
I think this might be the first time I've actually got a wrong score.
Oh, go on then. Are you going to change it? Come on.
No. Go on. Stick with it.
Go on, change it. Go on, say it.
I'm pretty sure. No. I'll take the loss. I'm pretty sure most of the chat on the poll are not going to be giving him a 7. So
right.
Okay, I can't be right every time. I'll take the loss.
Right. Okay. Are you ready for this one?
Yeah, go on.
It's joint again. 38%. So 38% of people said 7 and 38% of people said 8.
That's surprising.
Yeah,
Fair
I've
enough.
not seen that. I've not seen that in the chat before.
Pulled it twice in one. I don't think we've seen it before at all, and now it's twice in one rating.
Yeah,
fair enough.
Absolutely. Right, it's time to move on to the Ukrainian maestro, Andrei Yarmolenko. Right, come on then, Matt.
You ready for this?
Oh, come on. Don't be harsh, mate.
You ready for this?
No.
4.
4. Oh, Matt's at it.
He could have saved himself at the end, and he missed an open goal. So yeah, he gets 4.
I feel bad because I'm not giving the poll people who are doing the poll even a number anywhere remotely near that. Oh, wrong one there. 4.
4.
Come on, explain that to me.
It's just I don't. I was going to say like a 5 or a 6, but it's just being generous, and there's no reason to be generous because he wasn't good.
Right, I'm going to tell you something. Right, I'm going to tell you something before you even give me your opinion. I'm going to try and change this because I do think Yarmolenko deserves more than a 4. If I'm being honest with you, I'll tell you why. I do think his work rate was up there. It was better. It was stronger. He was trying a few things, and he's definitely a bit slower. There's no ifs or buts about it. Not a bit, a lot slower. But I don't think that performance was a 4, mate. I know he missed an open goal in the end, so maybe you can mark him down for that alone. But I think that is harsh. That's dramatically different to everyone else. That's basically saying that he was shit. And I don't think he was shit. I think he was average.
But, all right, the most I give him a 5.
Right, I think you need to change that. Yeah, come on.
You can give him a 5.
Right.
I was going to give him a 6, but he missed an open goal, so he can't have a 6.
Okay. Well,
Like,
there's nothing else really to say. Let's go and see.
His work effort was okay. It was up more than it was at the weekend. The only thing I would say, and like, you know what, the only thing I would say, and that's not his fault. The system doesn't suit him. He doesn't have the pace to play out wide. And, you know, he's not, even with Moyes, where he's like brought us on so much, like, he's just not a fitness man, is he? He's just not. I'm just saying stuff that's like, oh, that's not his fault. It's not his fault. I'm sorry. I've just got two things in my head: is him like hitting the post in the 88th minute, and then 90th minute.
Yeah.
You got Noble running past him. Noble's
Right,
like 3 years older than him.
Let me see what everyone says in the chat. Paul Evans says Yarmo less than 6, give him 4. There you go. Robert Singleton, Yarmo 6, missed a sitter. Double think, Rama Ding Dong 6. Yarmolenko's best game for ages. He gets a 3 from Neil T. My word, Howard Ailes, Yarmo gets a 5. Father Snowman says Yarmo 6, missed a sitter and lazy as hell work rate. He doesn't not the words. Epic Hashtime 5. Long Dark Tunnel says 6. Peter Jones gives him an 8. Sharky, Andre, 6 poor finish and slow things down too much. Camon, 8307. Mr. Mac, Yarmolenko, generous 6. My mum could have scored a sitter he missed. Troz, 7 don't suit system. Father Snowman, worst player for us. James, 75, gives him a 7. Jill Jane, 6. I couldn't join in the poll for this one. Oh, sorry, DLT. Sorry, my man. Clive Trevelyan, Yarmo 7, slow to react when there was a shot available. Came on, he tried. Banarama would have done a better job. Troy saying Yarmolenko can't run. Peter Jones, Yarmolenko gets a 6. And he'll be 7. Yarmolenko should have scored. Troy's saying it's not his fault. Happy Hammerette, good to see you. Welcome into the chat. Get your poll in. Do the poll that's on right now. And get your comment in and let us know your opinion on Yarmolenko. Epic Hashtime, the reason Yarmolenko ran at all was the earful he got from Moyes. He's not going to be a changed man going forwards. Trosh, look how they used him in the Euros. They let him float. Absolutely, yeah. Kimon, no West Ham player, deserves a 5. Robert Singleton, negative Matt. That's just what we have to deal with. I think a bit of Stell's rubbing off on him, to be honest. Beat on the Donis 47. Yarmolenko, like Haller, isn't a park the bus counter-attacker player. He's the type of player to unlock a defence with a single touch. Mr. Law, recap, please, Pat. We will give you a recap in a minute. Paul Evans, he was not good enough. Happy Amaretti, he surprised me. I was slightly impressed. Who on? Come on, Happy. Who on? Fushizi, Jan Fest, Yarmolenko 6. He tried. He ran around a little bit. However, he missed an open goal, consistently made incorrect decisions. Troz 4 is just vicious. You can say that again. Happy Amaret. He is grumpy. Grumpy Matt. Grumpy Stato. But you can see where it comes from. He's been hanging about. I left him in Stell on the Matchday Live for like 10 minutes. He comes back. Look what's happened. Look what's happened. Anyway, Matt, it's time to move on from Yarmolenko and get on to the man that led the line from the top, Mr. Jared Bowen. If you are watching right now, get your comment in and let me know your ratings for Jared Bowen.
I'll give him an 8.
8?
I think he's doing a very good job trying to fill a hole that we can't fill at the moment, you know. He needs to improve his finishing. He's one of them ones a bit like Fornals. He goes through spells where he has like really clinical finishing, and then there's times when he just doesn't pull the trigger, or he's off target, or he's just a bit indecisive. Me personally, at the end, I would have liked to have seen him have this shot rather than pass it to Noble, but you can't fault him for passing it. The selfless pass. But he's, you know, maybe they need to do this more in training, getting players as centre forward up against two of the big boys, because he looks like he could build on it. He's not going to be able to play exactly the same way as Antonio because he's not as physical, but he makes clever runs. He can win headers. He can just bring the ball down, play it into his feet.
Matt, can I ask you a question then? What are you saying to me? A goal would have made him a 9?
Yeah, probably.
Do you think he gave a 9 performance?
I was sitting on late and half, and I don't do halves, so I had to try and pick a side.
Because mate, his work rate was
unreal.
It's unreal. It is unreal. And you see links week in and week out with Jared Bowen to some of the top clubs in England, let alone potentially Europe. You can see why. I'm telling you now, mate, I think he's borderline giving us nearly nines each week. Now, people might say, well, do you drop a player because they concede a goal? Can you give a defender a particular number because they concede a goal, and vice versa? Can you do this with a player that plays up top that leads the line? But we turned up to Manchester United against, I looked at I don't know what the final stat was when you done the numbers last night. Matt, what was their current team worth?
Oh, you know what? I actually
roughly
for once I saw this on Twitter last night and I actually screenshotted it.
Right, because I seen the comparison to the wages, the weekly wages. I seen what the team of weekly wages were earning. So there was something
according to transfer market.
Well, there was something like 5. There was something like 4 or 5 Manchester United players playing yesterday that were above our highest earner at the club.
Oh yeah, definitely. All right, so according to transfer market, Man United's team, Man United's second team, by the way, because they made 11 changes, is worth 345 million. Yeah. Right? To put in perspective, our first team that started Sunday is worth 165 million. Sorry, cost. That's obviously cost to buy. The team that started last night cost us 79 million. And theirs cost 345.
And we made 10 changes.
Yes.
Yeah. So, I mean, listen, mate, Jared Bowen up there against, you could say a lot better quality on paper players giving us a performance. Cause you know what, Matt? See when Jared Bowen gets that ball and there's 2 or 3 defenders in and around him and he is facing that goal or facing that corner, I get excited and I feel extremely confident. See the way that most Man United fans feel when Ronaldo gets that ball and he's face on goal, and no matter if there's a defender there, and he starts to do those quick step over things that he does. Jared Bowen's giving me the same vibe. I'm not comparing him to Ronaldo in terms of his ability. I'm comparing him to the impact. Yeah, the impact that he can do.
He's not afraid to take people on. He's also now starting to back it up as well.
Yeah,
starting to produce it.
So if I give him a chance,
I'd still like to get a centre forward in, but you know what? Fair play to Moyes. There is someone that can sort of do the job when Antonio's not available.
Yeah. Well, let's see what everyone else says in the chat. Bowen says Pink Chapman says he gets an 8. Robert Singleton says he gets a 9. He rang his legs off. Duracell Bunny, absolutely. Double Think says Marathon Man Bowen 8. Skizzlebaits, good to see you. Thanks for joining us. Peter Jones saying Bowen gets a 9. Howard Hales is saying Bowen gets a 9. Happy Hammer Matt obviously didn't get a ticket this week. No, he did not. No,
I didn't.
Father Snowman Bowen, I give a 10. What a player. Sharky, Jim Bowen, 9. Excellent work rate, never stopped. Long Dark Tunnel, 8. Mr. Max says 8 for Bowen, worked tirelessly, chasing after everything. Jill Jane gives him a 9. Bowen was tops from Pete Chapman. Happy Amaret Bowen, 9 from me. He is amazing. Crazy Call, 9-star player. Trosh gives him an 8. Needs to improve his finishing. Paul Evans, awesome player, 9. Terry Andrews, he was brilliant, worked his bollocks off. Neil T gives him a 9, played well, but obviously not a striker. Anil, 9. Bowen, constant threat. Hit the like button, people. Thank you very much. Happy Amaret. Please hit the like. Hit the thumbs up. The thumbs up are right there. Please do it. If you're new around here, subscribe as well. Matt, go tell them what to do.
Hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button if you're new. And if you want to help us some more, become a member. And I'm sure Ant's going to put the membership link.
I'm actually not right
now. Oh, he hasn't got it ready. Look,
I haven't got it ready. I haven't got it ready. Nah, it's fine. Clive Trevelyan Bowen, a very solid 9. Love to give him a 10, but no goal. Troj, wish Bowen had Yarmo's shot. Came on. It's an 8.5. If
Yarmolenko had his skill and Yarmolenko's ability on the left foot when he wants to play for finishing, he'd be an unreal player.
Absolutely. Pete Chapman came in. It's an 8.5. Lots of effort. We'll talk about that in a minute. Troj, Bowen would be. Where's that gone? Oh my word! I don't know where that's gone. Oh, where are we? Come on. Fushizi, brilliant Bowen 8. Never stops sprinting for a player playing out of position. Pledged his soul to the cause. Fortunately, movement and finishing touches needs a little work. Patrick
But there's
Walsh,
potential there.
Bowen. Yeah, huge potential, mate. Huge potential. Patrick Walsh gives him a 9. Right, it's time to move on to our substitutes. We're going to try and do these quickly because we do have a show starting in 8 minutes. Yeah, we have to do it. So let's do the first rating, and that will be Vladimir Sufal, who came on nice and early, mate. What do you think about Vladimir Sufal?
Standard 7, mate. Standard 7.
Yeah.
He didn't get to do much going forward, but he done everything expected of him defensively. Didn't really get much out of him. I thought the defence as a whole played well, cutting him out, forcing him to go wide and put crosses in. I don't think he could have done much more. Might have liked to have seen him get forward more, but you know what? He kept Sancho quiet all night. So, yeah, I'll give him a standard solid 7. I thought he was probably more annoyed about the fact he had to come on when he thought he was finally getting a rest.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. Absolutely. I've not done the poll, so I need to do that one in 2 seconds. Let me just put this up for you, because I'm doing the next poll for you before I read this out. Sorry, 2 seconds. Right, where are we? I never done the last poll for, who was that we were talking about?
Before, William Bowen.
So 45% of people gave him a 9.
Oh, wow.
There you go.
Finally got one wrong.
Yeah, you certainly did, mate. You certainly did. And you've given him a 7, and 46% of people agree with you. 40% of people are going with an 8. Sufal Howard Ailes gives him a 7. Father Snowman gives him a 7. Long Dark Tunnel 7. Mr. Mac 9. Didn't do anything wrong really. Neil T. Sufal 7. Not his best game. Came in 8. Sufal gets an 8. No More Children for Gufal. 7 from me. I think Bowen maybe rested against Leeds. Sufal gets a 7 plus bonus point for boosting Crawl. Black Ness gets 8 for the Dynamo Kids. Sufal gets a 9. So really good positive results there. The next substitution I want to talk to you about is Vlasic. What do you think, mate?
I'll give him a 7. I don't want to be too negative for the bloke. I think he's still learning, and I think he gave us some good outlets in the second half when we were trying to counter attack. He didn't have many options though. He did Bowen started tiring in the last 15 minutes, and he did spend a lot of time making the extra covering runs for Bowen. A lot of times he was picking up the ball, just running 30, 40 yards and no support around him. But you can see that he's starting to learn and understand, getting up to play, getting up to speed, learning every game, improving. But he had a solid performance. Done the job he came on to do. Give him a 7.
7. Excellent. Let's go and see what everyone in the chat is saying about Vlasic. Where are we? Got so many comments. It's tough to keep up with sometimes, but it's good and we like it, and that's what we want. So keep doing it. Father Snowman, Vlasic 7, room to improve. Howard Ailes is saying 7. Epic Hastime saying a 6. He's been so underwhelming. Came in 7.5. Job done. Mr. Max 7. Didn't blow up my skirt, unfortunately. Jill James 7. Vlasic gets a 7 from Neil T. Troj says 6 for Vlasic. Clive Treblin says 7. Has to pick up stamina a bit, but good work. Peter Jones says 7. Neil saying 7. Can't remember making any impact really. Foshizi is saying versatile Vlasic 7. Solid performance. Needs to add a little aggression. Robert Singleton gets a 7. Happy Emirates saying, I feel like I haven't really seen him properly yet, although he's been on the pitch. He isn't amazing yet, but in the future he could be 7. Tony Crawley's saying he needs time. I remember Fornals when he joined didn't set the world on fire. Now look where Fornals is doing now. Absolutely, mate. Good point. Really good point. Listen, let me just explain to you. Literally in 4 minutes' time, we're going to be going live again. DJ Rusty Breeze bringing to you a new show. So go and check it out at 9 o'clock. We've only got a couple of more players to go through, or one more player, and then we'll rate a few more people at the end of it. So it's time to rate Fornals. Go on, Matt.
I'll give him a 7. Again, you know what? He literally came on to give fresh legs and protection for Ben Johnson. Masuaku was tiring, still offered bits going forward, still helped create some good counter-attacks. Didn't overcommit and get forward, which I was quite surprised with, but he came on to offer protection, give us a bit more bite and recovery running legs. Exactly what he did. You know, good outing for him.
Yeah, absolutely. Get your comments in. Let me know your thoughts on Fornals. Before we move on, 56% of people chose 7 for Vlasic, so they agreed with you in the poll. And let me see what they all said for Fornals. 50% of people gave him an 8. Now, I'm going to agree with that 8, Matt, because if you're going to give Vlasic a 7, Fornals definitely outperformed Vlasic. I thought he was fantastic when he came on. He'd done everything that he does in the short space of time that he had. And he just connected that midfield again to the back line and the forward line. But listen, it's your show again, mate, and that's exactly what we've got to do. We've got to follow your rules. I absolutely love the guy. I love Fornicator. He absolutely, he's going to go in the back of my T-shirt, I think, soon. Soon enough he is, so we'll do that. Pete Chapman says Fornals gets a 6. Father Snowman gives him a 7. Pete Chapman says 8. Cayman 8. Howard Ailes is saying 7. Jill Jane is saying 8. Robert Singleton 8. Thought he was up to speed quickly. Peter Jones Fornals a 9. Long Dark Tunnel 8. Vinny 8. He's played a lot of games. Neil Key Passes gives him an 8. Love the bloke, he gets an 8. Neil T gets 7. Sorry, lads, just come on. Was at the game last night amongst the Manx and the Stratford end. Only way to get a ticket. It was a great team performance. Love it, Martin. Love it, mate. Hope you celebrated in front of them as well. Mr. Mac Fornals was consistent as always, but didn't have much game time. 7. Troj gives him an 8. Class. Clive Trevelyan gives him an 8. Most improved player this year. Allied Irons is an 8. Tony Crawley, Fornals made a difference last part of the game. 9. James 75 gives him an 8. Ronda and Tony Tanti 10. I love Fornals, so no matter how he plays, I'll always give him a 10. And before that, Ronda and Tony Tanti, you get this little celebration. There you go. That's what you get. Let me see who else is there. Foshizi, phenomenal Fornals. 8. Fitted in seamlessly, delivered the goods. Always quality. 9. Fornals played a blinder. And like I said, 50% of people gave him an 8 in there as well. Right, it's time to rate Mr. David Moyes for his performance, mate.
He gets a 10.
10 out of 10.
He gets
Matty
10.
Boy's done it. I can't believe you've actually got a 10 for tonight.
Yeah, he gets a 10.
Wow.
I thought he got everything spot on. His change of tactics, his change of men, he managed to rotate everyone around, only left one player on from the game on Sunday. We still looked the same. We knew how to do the low block. We were happy to let them dictate play, and they couldn't create anything out of it. They had 27 shots, but I think only about 3 of them were inside the box. He actually made subs at the right time for once as well to keep things fresh. Made sure he kept us having an outlet, counter attack, and they had the ball. They did nothing with it, and they resorted to long shots, and none of them were even on target. I think he absolutely out tacticked Ollie. He learned from Sunday, changed his tactics, changed the men, and got it spot on.
Let's see what everyone else says in the chat. We're nearly finished here. We're nearly finished, so don't worry. And we're going to be starting with DJ Russie B's show. Howard Ailes, Moyes gets a 10. Peter Chapman gets a 10. Cayman gets a 10, 10, 10. Paul Evans gives him a 10. Moyes 10. Massive Moyes 10. Love it, man. Everyone's buzzing about Moyes. Terry Andrews 9. Long Dark Tunnel 9. Father Snowman Moyes 10. Spot on decisions 10 all day long. Troj 9. Moyes Masterclass Jill Jane 10. 10. Ellen Ludlow Moyes 9. Robert Singleton 9. Double Think gives him a 9. And Neil B gives him a 10. Massive Moyes perfect. 10 from Neil T. Vinay gets him a 10. I'll give him a 10. His selection was right, and I trust him to judge the French players, Lanzini and Yarmo, in a balanced way. Pat Mahown gives him an 11 out of 10. Thomas gives him Nips and Tatty 10. 10 for Moyes from Clive. He played the right tactics at the right time. Can give Moyes a 10 because he's beat Ole, who's always 4 out of 10. Peter Jones, Moyes 8.5. Epic Hash Time 8 gives him a 10. Matt's being nice about Moyes. Tony 72 gives him a 20. Messiah, all hail 10. So pleased for the gaffer. Absolutely. Let's see what the poll goes with. And 59% of people go with a 10 for David Moyes. Last but not least, before we do leave the show, we can't finish the show without talking about the beautiful fans, the West Ham fans that went to the game there, travelled all the way up midweek. What do you think, mate? 10
out of 10, always. That's all. If you actually watch the game back and hear the sound, that's all you could hear.
Yeah.
You wouldn't have thought there was 70,000 people in that stadium. All you could hear was West Ham fans from start to finish.
Yeah. Absolutely. It's amazing. They are phenomenal. And do you know what? I sit there, right, as a fan. I call myself an avid fan. I've travelled up and down the country following West Ham. Circumstances have changed and it makes it a little bit different now because I've got kids, so I can't go to as many games as I want to. I'd love to have gone to the game yesterday, and going to Manchester is reasonably easy for me to get to. That's me being brutally honest. But midweek, and with the kids, it's tough, but I've got to hold my hands up to people that do that traveling week in and week out. And I just think it's amazing. And I hope to one day be able to join you doing that again. I've done it years ago. And I really want to do it again. So fair play to you, all fans, for joining and doing it that way. 10 out of 10. Everyone's saying that. Fans were mental. I mean, look at all these comments. 100 out of 10, 10. I felt sorry for Man United. Neil T, 10 for the fans. Fans, 10 plus. Come on, you Irons. And Neil's giving them a 10. 10 fans. You do us proud. Fence, they must get a 10 for the journey and another 10 for the support. Always a 10 for the fans who hear bubbles on the telly. Yep, there we go. Irons Army gets a 10. Absolutely. So it's fantastic. Listen, Matt's just gone and left me for the last part of the show. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to get you a link for the show that is coming up. So give me a second to find this link. Matt, just to keep everyone entertained, have a little chin wag with everyone. So I'm trying to find the link to the show that is about.
He's struggling.
It's coming on.
He hasn't got it ready.
It's coming. Don't you worry, mate. It's coming.
I said you got to give them a 10. The only other person I might rate is the ref, and I thought he had a generally awful game, to be honest.
Yeah.
For both teams, I don't think he got any decision right. I've seen things today we talk about the Soufal incident. Apparently the ref saw it. I thought it was fine. The Soufal getting kneed in the nuts because the FA got the report this morning from the ref and he said, yeah, I saw it. So he gets away with it. He doesn't even get like a post-match 3-game ban.
Yeah. Listen, Matt, I'm going to interfere with you there. The link to the new show, which is going to start literally after this show, is called The Debate with Russie B. So go and check it out. I've put the link. All you need to do is go and click that link and that takes you into the next show. Over 120 people watching. So go across there and go and watch the new show with Russie B. Much appreciated. Thank you very much for joining us on the Matchday Player Ratings. I'll be back personally tomorrow with Matt, because tomorrow's Friday and it's the preview of the Leeds game. So make sure you come and check us out. We'll also have Lunchtime Live tomorrow afternoon as well. Hopefully we'll have a bit of a press conference show as well. So thank you very much for joining us. Take it easy, stay safe, subscribe, like and comment, and go and click that link and go and watch Rush's show. Matt, Anton, come on, you Irons.